Hey, folks! Welcome to the Generational Gap. I'm Robert, your resident Gen X, or residential and suburban and commercial. John,
Jesus.
we've got John over here to my left, as always. John, our resident millennial. How are you doing tonight, John?
I'm doing all right. Not too bad.
You
The
should
balls are hanging a little bit lower than normal, but it's a little warm. So,
really. Well,
yeah.
they should rest comfortably on your chin, your beard, so they'll be okay.
My balls? That would be odd.
Oh, I didn't know you had specified which balls were hanging low.
I
I thought
did,
maybe
yeah.
it was the
I said my
ones that
balls
are
were.
normally on your chin. So
But different set of balls.
how's your week been going, John?
It's been all right, you know. Just working like normal.
There's been some
Nothing
news.
super exciting.
Have you
Has
seen
there?
news? Yeah, there's been news. There's
News?
things
I,
happening
I don't. I
in the
don't. I
news.
don't think much of news.
Well, you should because it's why we do the show.
Oh
That's why we're here.
shit! I thought this
Hey,
was a cooking podcast.
is that what that is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought we were cooking.
yeah. Then you're just lukewarm. You're maybe at best gazpacho.
Oh, better than Gestapo, I guess.
Depends on your worldview. So, nothing been going on with you this week? Nothing exciting, nothing fun, nothing major?
No, but next week, next Sunday is my birthday, so that'll be a
A
thing.
week from this Sunday.
Yes.
Wow, talk about trying to get people on board early.
Yeah.
Jesus. It's almost
If
like
you
you're.
want to send us money to our PayPal that we don't have,
Yeah.
you know,
I keep telling you to set that up just in case we
yeah.
happen to have a drive-by philanthropist. Yeah.
Best kind of drive-by I've ever heard of. Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Sounds awesome.
that's kind of what Bill Gates is supposed to be like, right? Just a drive-by philanthropist.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know he gives a ton of money to the charity, but it's probably a lot of like tax write-offs and things like that.
Um, it's funny. I was watching. There's a show on. Is it Hulu or Netflix? Where, but basically it's comedians and they're fixing things in society, right? Their goal is to fix things.
Oh yeah.
So there's one of the comedians. Wow, I am blanking on every fucking name right now. Well,
Tisk tisk.
one of them's a black guy. One comedian is a black guy, and the other one is a white woman. And then the host is from Britain.
Is a straight
His
white
name's
male.
Jimmy something.
Jimmy, is it Jimmy Dore or is it
Is he
Jimmy
the
Carr?
ha ha ha?
Jimmy Carr.
That's Jimmy Carr.
Yeah, Jimmy Carr. Yeah,
Yeah, he's got a new show on where
he's hilarious.
and he hosts the show. So it's DL. Is it DL Hughley?
Probably.
Am I getting that
I mean,
right?
that's the name of a comedian. Yeah.
That's right. Keep up with them all. But anyway, so I was watching an episode, and they were talking about wage disparity in the
Oh
country.
Jesus.
And basically, what it was looking at, it wasn't looking at like men and women. What it was looking at what primarily was
Of
the
the races.
no, it was looking at
Oh.
wage disparity between workers and CEOs. What do they
Oh
call that?
God.
What it is? That's not wage disparity. It's
Wealth inequality.
wealth inequality. But basically, they
Jesus.
were, they were just showing numbers here and there. Talking about, how Walmart is like, the difference between the two is that the CEO for Walmart is basically making, I don't know, in the high double digits per dollar that the worker is making to $1,
Right.
right? And they were talking about different companies. Elon Musk, of course, I guess, pays himself minimum wage from his company. Let's not talk about profits from the company, just his wage. So he's on a dollar for
Hmm.
dollar share with his employees. So he's like, one of the
I'm
good
sure
ones.
most of his employees would make more than minimum wage. I mean, a lot of them are, mechanical engineers and different kind of scientists and such,
But
rocket scientists and
when
things like that.
he has this assistant, she comes out and she's kind of the stats girl, and she talks about the actual statistics involved, and she's the one that points out these, you know, CEO salaries versus employee wages. But she showed a little clip, and it was kind of humorous, and it was Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. Was it Warren Buffett?
Mm.
Yeah, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett in a store being filmed going mattress shopping. And the irony of it was they're in there and they're talking about it, and as it goes through, you can realize that neither of these two people have shopped for shit in their life.
Or
But
at
they
least in a long time. I mean,
do I?
I'm
Or
sure
in a
Bill
very
Gates.
very long time.
Yeah, Bill Gates wasn't always rich as fuck.
No, no, but it's been a long time since they've had to buy anything for themselves, right? They just
Sure.
go get this, and but
Yeah.
Warren Buffett's in there, and they actually had a bed, a mattress. He was looking for a mattress, and they actually had a mattress that I guess that he endorsed. He was, he had a
Mm.
sponsorship from them, or endorsement with them, I should say. And so he's laying on the mattress, and and Bill Gates pretty much asking him, so when was the last time you bought a mattress? And he's like, he said, I don't know if I've ever actually bought a mattress. I mean, the one mattress I grew up, I was growing up, but I didn't buy that one or pick that one. I don't even think I picked it. Um, he's like, I'm not sure I've ever bought anything. And I'm like, really?
Wow.
um, so those are there's the telling part. That was the very telling part for me when you think about wealth disbursement and disparity in this country. It's just like there are literally people that don't know anything about the value of a dollar. Like
Sure.
from the side of spending it, I guess is more what I'm trying to say, right?
I mean, I disagree with that.
Well, you
Oh,
know,
hey, Michael Vega in the chat. What's up, man?
hey, how's it going tonight? That's the thug
The
life,
thug
right?
life. That's right. XD.
I guess it's
XD. XD. XD.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's like, okay, he could pay $4,000 for a mattress and not realize, not necessarily think about the value of it. He could be paying $4,000 because it's a named mattress that,
Yeah.
normally it might, the same equivalent would cost $2,000, but then one of us goes out to buy a mattress. You go out to buy a mattress. What do you do when you see a $2,000 mattress?
I
you
keep the
keep
fuck moving.
you keep moving on down the line,
That's
right?
right.
Right? You're
Yeah.
like, where's the $99 special?
Right.
You know, I mean,
Exactly.
this is how we shop, and there's and so I've seen celebrities shop before, and it's just like you never hear them talking about price. You
Yeah.
never hear these conversations come up because they just don't even have to think about it. And from that standpoint, I don't think they value the dollar the same way we do.
Um, I don't think they have to worry about it as much, obviously.
Of course.
But I mean, you can't become a multimillionaire or even a billionaire without knowing the value of a dollar and knowing, when to spend it and when to not spend it, how
Well,
to, how to gain more while spending less.
I
I
I
mean, these are things that are necessary in order to be successful.
I can agree with that but I interpret that more as it's kind of like looking using that glass that you see in an interrogation room. You can see through one side but not the other,
Yeah.
right? They look at money from a different perspective. So money,
Yeah.
they look at the value of money, not the value of a dollar. Does that make sense? Is that
I see what
is,
you're saying. Yeah, like they see, the value of the actual currency
expenditure
as
and
opposed to,
return
yeah,
and
right, as opposed to, oh, this is not actually worth that. A
right.
carton of eggs isn't actually worth,
Right.
$16
What do you mean
because
the
it's,
What do you mean the price of eggs has gone up 20 cents? That doesn't even cross that's not the kind
yeah,
of thing
yeah,
that
no,
crosses their
certainly.
mind, but for a lot of America, these are thoughts that cross your mind, right?
Yeah, sure.
Um, cuz I caught myself doing that a couple of days ago. I was looking at an app to order groceries through. So I was curious. I was like about the pricing. So of course they have my regular grocery store on there. So I go and look, and of course I'm looking at the prices, and all the prices have been increased. Bananas are 10 cents more expensive per pound through the app than if I go into the store.
Right.
So all of the, which bothers me a little bit, right?
Well, you're
They're
paying for the convenience, right?
right, but you're also paying for someone. You're also paying a charge for someone to bring that to you. You're paying somebody for the
That's what I mean.
convenience of,
Yeah, and you're paying,
but I'm
right?
also going to be paying the grocery store a fee, an additional
Mm.
cost. The grocery store, they're not
You're
doing
probably paying
anything
the app.
convenient for me because somebody's going and shopping for that for me.
Yeah, you're probably paying the app more than the instead of the store.
Well, I don't.
The app needs to
I
survive, and the driver needs to get paid.
well, I understand the delivery charge, but I wouldn't think the app could charge additional costs for the items you're getting from the store.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. I've never used one of those.
But that's I don't know. Maybe they can. That would be a hell of a way to make money. Have you seen how many of these different companies are popping up?
Oh yeah, there's tons of them. Yeah.
Yeah, there's one now that's just it's called Slice and it's just for pizza places primarily.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the first time I used them, my order was fucked up anyway. So I was like, "Arr!"
Yeah, that's not a good look, is it?
No, no. But anyway, so John, we got some stuff to talk about tonight.
Oh, we do?
There was one interesting thing for sure that happened this week. We got our State of the Union address on Tuesday night. I trust you
Yes,
watched the
I certainly did.
State of the Union in its
In fact,
entirety.
I lost sleep. I had to go to work very early on Wednesday morning, and so I actually lost sleep in order to watch it.
Well, I have to say that my predictions on Monday were relatively on point.
Yeah,
There was much I'm Donald Trump backslapping for great things with the
but
economy and
that's
jobs.
kind of the
And
point of the State of the
oh,
Union,
I
though.
agree.
You know.
I right. Talk about what you've done well, where our
Yeah.
challenges lie, and what
Hmm.
proactive measures you're going to attempt to take. Right? He did all of this, right? But he did. He
Yeah.
went through the jobs and economy. I'm doing a great job. We've done wonderful things.
Yeah.
Gave credit to people. I got to give him props. He stayed on script. He did not seem to diverge from the teleprompter throughout most of the entire thing, which
Right.
was awesome. But then he did. There were times he was reaching out to Democrats and then kind of smackety a little
Yeah,
as he was doing
backhanded
it.
compliments,
Just
things
some
like that. Yeah.
backhanded stuff.
Well,
Just
the thing is,
getting.
he knew that said especially he was like, oh, 100 years since women gained the right to vote, we now have more Congress women have been elected to Congress than ever before, and they had no choice but to cheer for that, right?
Right.
He forced them to
Oh
cheer
yes.
for him.
Yes,
Like,
and pandering as well. I mean, of course, I saw a lot of what he was doing as pandering towards the election.
yeah, yeah,
I
absolutely.
saw a lot of that in action, but of course, a big primary focus was on border security, and this is it's an ongoing thing. We're at the end of week 2. We've got one more week to find a middle ground here and compromise on this so that we don't shut down the government again.
Hmm.
But again, I still.
But see, again, it's putting it on them if the government shuts down again.
Sure, and but
So I mean,
I'm
he's making
expecting,
them his bitch. Like he's just pushing them all around the whole field, like whatever it is.
yeah.
He's just got every base covered.
I'm expecting
It's
he's going
actually
to
pretty
whip out
incredible.
the. I expect he's going to whip out the emergency card after if
I
it
don't
goes
think
into
he'll need
shutdown
to.
again. You don't think it'll shut down again?
I don't think he'll need to, because the Democrats are trying to oust him from the White House during the next election. So they're going to need to, first of all, not look like they don't care about the people at this time. I mean, after the election, they'll stop caring again. But as for right now, they need to actually act like they actually care about the people.
But
And so
even this
having the government
far,
shut down again means people aren't going to be being paid, and then they're the whole government being shut down, which means people aren't going to be receiving their benefits as much. All of this kind of stuff is going to look really bad on Democrats because now it's their fault. They can't put it on him now. So I think
well,
they have to reach a compromise.
well, I th- I think with a certain level of thinking in America that will be true, but I think there are enough people with a balanced mindset that will say compromise takes two people, and just because he
Yeah,
made
and
the
he's been
three
willing
weeks,
to,
just because he made the 3 weeks available, doesn't mean that he is, is doing his part to reach a
but he
compromise.
has been. He's
Okay,
offered up several
yeah,
deals.
he
They
has thrown
showed
some
it down
stuff up.
immediately.
Well, it's I've seen some of the stuff he's thrown up, and it's stuff that would, at some points, a couple of things he threw up were things that had already been shot down before, and he just brought them back to the table as they were when they were shot down previously. But he
Doesn't
has
matter.
tried.
That's a starting point for negotiation. They could have
Yes.
come back with something else instead
Hold
of
on,
shooting it
but
down
John,
immediately.
you don't bring an already chewed piece of gum and then say, "Let's start chewing this again from the point we left it at."
Yeah, and they say, "Hey, here's a new stick of gum." Instead, they just said, "No, fuck you."
I think that's I no I don't if he should have if he was going to make them if he was going to come to them he should have come to them with the first move and compromise on
He
those
did.
things. No, he didn't. He brought it back the way they had left it before, and
Yeah,
he didn't come
which
back
was the
with it
first move.
adjusted. No, it was
They
like
didn't either, though. They didn't come back with
I just
anything
don't agree.
adjusted.
I don't agree that it was the first move. If they had already, talked about this before the shutdown ever happened and decided that they didn't want to do it because they had negotiated it and gotten nowhere, they didn't find a middle ground on it, and so he brings it back the way he had wanted it
Right. But
originally
see,
and says, "Okay, let's start over."
it's all about optics, though, right? Because now
For
the
him,
Democrats.
sure.
Well, no, I'm saying for the whole country. For his reelection, it's about optics. So by doing that, by bringing something to the table, then they come back and say no. It looks like he's willing to negotiate, and they are not. And to the average American, that's what matters, and
Well,
that's what's going to get him reelected.
I, 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 I'm concerned that he may get reelection. I'm not going to say that his policies haven't put him in a position of power in that. Plus, locking down the RNC to where there's not going to be another Republican candidate
I
possible.
can't. I can't think of another Republican that would be able to
Yeah,
go.
they would have
I
found
mean, who?
somebody if
Lindsey
he
Graham? Like who? I
they
mean,
would
who
have found
else?
they would have found somebody. I mean, look how many fucking turkeys they threw in the ring
I mean,
with
you think
him
Jeb is going to come
to
back?
go up against Hillary Clinton. I mean, they were pulling shit out of the woodwork, in this last election to throw up against
Yeah.
Hillary because they knew she had the walk on this thing. They just got really fucking lucky that Trump figured out a way to do it.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
would have been the same thing. It's much like the Democrats are going to do now. They're going to throw up a bunch of dead wood and hope that something comes back to life and
Yeah,
stirs
but all
stirs
their
the party
candidates
up.
are garbage, and they're all like,
At this point in time, they all have their own baggage.
but they have no like Trumpian style candidate. All their people are,
Do you
career politicians,
do you think you need
old hat Democrats.
you need a Trump to go up against Trump? Don't you think that would be a
Absolutely, yeah. You need
mistake?
somebody who can give it back to
So
him
so
because he
then
can't. Because the thing about him is he can't take the things that he dishes out. He's not able to. So you need someone who can give it to him
well,
just as well as he gives it to them.
I was of the opinion in the previous election that Bernie Sanders could have done that. I think he could have talked on points that Trump would have not had anything to say but
Yeah,
bluff and bluster. That would have been the thing. Trump
no,
would
it's
not have
true.
had anything salient to say about the points that Bernie was making except to try and diss Bernie. That was his only
Right.
option. With Hillary, it was kind of easy because there's all the crookedness in her past and
Oh yeah,
right?
that's easy.
So it's easy to show that she's a hypocrite. Now you can still do that with Bernie, but he wasn't smart enough on Bernie. His entire platform was built on fighting against Hillary Clinton.
Well, because he knew that she was going to get the a
Right.
nomination.
Because somebody had set that shit up, to
Oh
where
yeah,
the DNC was
yeah. So he would
knocking
have,
Bernie out of the ring.
yeah, he would have had a much harder time against Bernie.
See, Midget
Because
agrees with me.
yeah, I agree too. Because Bernie would have stayed on point and about the issues. That's what he does. That's
But he
one of the
can't do
things
it
that I say.
now.
No, he's way too old. I don't think
He's reaching a point. I don't think he hasn't thrown his hat in the ring officially yet, because I'm not
Yeah,
sure that he's confident that he could manage to pull off a term as
I
president
don't think
now.
he doesn't have the following that he had during the last election. Because as soon as he started endorsing Hillary, he lost all of the support he would have had. Not all of it, but he lost a lot of the support
But you
he
know
would have
that
had because the reason they wanted to vote for him was because he was not Hillary, and
right.
then he endorsed Hillary,
But
and that's it. He's over. He's
that's
done.
part of your job in the party. I mean, if you're
Yeah,
not going
but
if
that's
you're
not
not
what
going to be
the
the candidate, then you have to unify as a party and
right.
support the candidate.
But
That's what
that's not
they
what the people who followed him wanted to happen. And
right.
so
And you
yeah,
know
so what I'm
and
saying is he's
why?
not going to have the support now.
And you know why? Because of fucking Trump. During the
Yeah.
primaries, Trump put it out there that he basically didn't give a shit if any of the other candidates won.
Hmm.
That didn't mean they were going to get his support. He wasn't
Right.
just going to toe, and I get
But
that.
that's how it should be.
Yeah, and I get that. That was a strong point to take.
Yeah.
But, to chastise Bernie too severely for sticking with this party and saying, okay, if nothing else, Hillary does at least have some talking points that we are close to agreement on,
Yeah.
I can back her, right? $15 minimum wage. This was something they were both for. There were points that they were in agreement on. But yeah,
Was she for that? I don't
Bernie did
remember.
get cucked in this. I agree, Midget. He got
Yeah.
cucked in the whole thing. But the key fact with Bernie is that 4 years ago he had 8 years in him. Right now he
Yeah.
does. I don't think he has four in him.
No way.
So,
Yeah.
that the loss there, I think, was really devastating to him, and I think he won't throw his hat in. I think he won't.
No, I don't. I hope he doesn't for his sake. I
But I
really hope he doesn't.
really that was the what was it? Fraser Ali of presidential debates that I wanted to see. I wanted to see
Oh
Trump
yeah.
get his ass lambasted by Bernie Sanders just
Well,
because
I mean, like
Bernie
I
is
said,
smarter than him.
well, like I said, Bernie is when he spoke, he always went on the issues. He always went to policy, and he stated statistics, and he's like, "Here's the problem. Here's my solution. Here's the problem. Here's my solution.
Hmm.
Here's the problem. Here's my solution." And that was it. He didn't, attack people really. He didn't, do all these other things. So I think that yeah, what Trump would have said about him, he would have just let slide off and just say, "Look, here are the problems. Here's
Right.
my solution."
Do you have an answer for this question? Do you have
Right,
a real rebuttal that
right,
talks to the issue? And Trump wouldn't have been
yeah.
able to do that. But now,
No,
in this upcoming election, there is one wild card when it comes to speaking before they think, and that's if Joe Biden steps in.
oh Jesus,
Joe Biden
Uncle
has
Joe.
had some points, when he was VP, where he was getting called out because he was a little too loose cannon with what he was saying.
Yeah, but
So,
he wasn't not in the same way though.
well, no, but I mean, it's the kind of thing, okay, maybe that's about the closest to a crack shot I can think that might, be
I
able
don't
to
know.
talk crazy with
Nobody
Trump.
likes nobody likes Joe Biden though.
Well, nobody likes anybody right now. There's nobody that anybody really likes.
Mm, I disagree. I know a lot of Democrats like Elizabeth Warren and they like Kamala Harris.
Yeah, but
So
but that's but do they like them because of what they stand for, their
no,
ideology,
they
or do
like
they
them
like
because
them
they're
because they're
women.
women? Right.
Yes, they're both
That's
women of color. Yeah,
um, Elizabeth Warren, yeah.
yeah.
Sunburnt,
She's Native American. Yeah,
whatever.
don't you know?
Um, yeah, that's why I think like Kamala Harris and the other, not Elizabeth Warren, but what's that starts with a
Tulsi Gabbard, wasn't it?
Tulsi Gabbard.
Gabbard.
Both
Yeah.
of them are mixed race or Hispanic. One, no, Tulsi Gabbard is black, or if I
I don't
got it
know.
reversed, one of the two is an African American woman. The other one is of mixed descent, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I'm like,
It
okay,
doesn't
so
matter.
these are candidates that are hitting a lot of intersections,
Yeah, they're gonna
right?
try and push that when it failed last time. So I don't know why they're gonna keep. I don't know why they're gonna keep doing that.
Yeah,
Keep pushing the ideology.
I have to say, Midget, in looking at the different candidates, there's really nobody that doesn't have something baggage wise in their past that's going to have an impact on them. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, they did this, but they spoke out about this, or they, they didn't, they weren't so great here, but of course their focus is over here. And
Hmm.
but the one guy that I do like is Andrew Yang. I will say this.
Mm,
I'm curious about this. I want to see where it goes.
not a
Um,
fan.
it's just it's more curiosity because of this is somebody coming from a different direction into government. He wants to run it like a business, but he wants to run it like we're preparing for the next 20 to 30 years that are coming because they're going to come fast, right? So it's just I want to hear him talk.
Hmm.
And if he turns
Yeah,
out
no,
to
I
be
mean,
a
I'll
Ben
listen.
Carson, if he turns out to be Ben Carson, then fuck him. But if he actually has something tangible to say, and he can, because he seems to be basing his information on facts. Okay, these are projected estimates
Mm,
of when these
I
things are going to
disagree with that.
happen.
He doesn't base a lot of
Well,
his policy
projections, I
on
should say.
fact. So
Projections, I should say.
yeah, projections maybe. I'll give you that.
Um,
With like the rate of automation and things like that, yeah, he's definitely
but I mean,
coming with
everybody.
facts on that. But with things like the wage gap, he's spouting that during in his policies, um, and shit like that. Like us banning assault weapons, military grade assault weapons, which I mean is a ridiculous term to begin with. So I mean, it's clear that he's not educated on all of his policies, and that's not a good idea.
True. I can agree with you that anything that's not on his primary platform. But I will one thing that we had to agree on. He had an opinion on just about every fucking issue out there, right? I mean, there was something there. What the idea, although some of them, the solution that was being proffered up was more of a we want to see if we can do something in this veinishness, kind of obscure, obtuse, but
Yeah.
still, every policy had an opinion, had some input, had some statistics, and a direction that they wanted to plan to go or look to go should he
Mm.
gain the office. So I've got to say that there's homework been done there. I mean, and that's
Eh,
good. So that tells me that
somewhat, yeah.
he's not coming into this as a dullard, an idiot, right? He's not
Mm.
just walking in and going, "Hey, I could be president." Right? It's not that kind of approach. There's some thought there, so I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with that.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic about him like I was with Trump in the beginning.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
was
he's
highly
gonna.
optimistic of Trump.
I don't think he's gonna make it though,
Well,
just because he's not intersectional enough.
he's Asian.
It's not enough.
It's not enough.
No,
What if he's gay?
we need a woman president.
We have a gay
It's
man
time.
who's announced his
Listen,
candidacy.
Robert. It's current year. We need a woman president. And yes, Midget B, you are correct. We veered way off topic.
What did we start talking about? What did we originally start
The
talking
State of the Union.
about? Oh. Well,
Yeah.
we're still talking about the president in a sense, um,
Yeah.
but I did pull up some fact checks, factcheck.org,
Jesus.
the amazing go-to source for facts, but they don't always get it wrong. But let's see, what did we find out? During the speech, Trump supposedly wrongly claimed El Paso transformed from one of the most dangerous cities in the nation to one of the
Yeah,
safest
that was.
immediately after construction of a border barrier.
It actually took like 2 years. Like,
Yeah,
no, I mean, it is. Obviously, he's hyperbolic. We all know, right? I mean, he's always hyperbolic and way exaggerates, over exaggerates his points.
right. The president twice referred to human trafficking to make the case for ending illegal immigration. However, experts told us legal ports are the typical mode of entry in the bulk of the cases they deal with concerning foreign nationals, and we don't have any ports in
Do we have
association
any
with Mexico.
citations for that? Where are the
Um,
citations?
well, even Trump made reference to ports, so he did
Yeah, yeah.
reference ports, but you can't talk about human trafficking coming in at ports and tie it into illegal
Well, I mean, but
immigration from
okay, but
Mexico.
are not you know coyotes bringing people in to the country through port of entries. Is that not still human trafficking?
Well, yeah, yeah. I'm
Maybe
just
not
saying.
human sex trafficking, even though they usually get raped on their
All
way
it's
in.
saying is that
But
legal legal ports are the typical mode of the bulk of the cases, because typically they're coming in on boats.
okay, so then
It's
it's not a. That's not. No, no, it's not ports of entry is not the same thing as
right.
like a boat
Our illegal
port.
immigrant problem that's coming from the south border where he wants to build a wall, most of that is drug traffic and immigrants trying
Human
to get in,
traffic.
human traffic trying to get into the country, not human
Hmm.
trafficking. Yes, there is still human trafficking, but it I think the smaller percentage of it is, from what I understand, is along the southern
So we
border,
might as well
as
not
opposed
fix
to.
it, right?
No, it's not to say not fix it. It's just
No, we should. I mean,
trying to preach for the border wall and using human trafficking is. I guess they're just saying it was a little bit of a stretch. The two don't necessarily correlate from a
I
numbers
mean,
adding
I don't
up.
know. This kind of reminds me of said when the what was it the Clemson Tigers went to the White House and he ordered fast food for them all because the
Right.
government was shut down, and he talked about like, oh, we have burgers stacked a mile high, and who was it, PolitiFact or Snopes? I believe it was Snopes was like, well, no, actually, since the average burger is however long, however tall, however many inches tall, and he had this many burgers, there's no way it would have been a mile high. Like it's kind of like that. It's just like semantics
Right.
bullshit.
And one thing I'll say, I was, just point out something. I know, Midget, I understand what you're saying about ports of entry, but what they're referring to is they're actually referring to ports because he actually referred to ports too, like
Well, I think he
sea
meant ports
vessel.
of entry.
No, he referred to both things in the say the Union, but there are no. But he referred to ports and boats at one point. I mean that's all I'm saying is we don't have any
Mm.
boats coming in from Mexico, so the human trafficking that goes on there is coyotes bringing them over
Yeah.
bad ways. Trump falsely said a strong security wall along San Diego's border with Mexico almost completely ended illegal crossings. A government report said the fence by itself did not have a discernible impact. I don't know what the
Okay,
report
by
is, but
itself, maybe not, but I mean,
right.
in conjunction with other things. He's not
Yeah.
saying let's just have a wall and be done with it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying about
Yeah,
how
but
this is just like semantics and splitting hairs?
sure,
I
because
mean, come
I
on.
mean that's what most fact checking that goes on with Trump anymore is.
Well, yeah, because he
They're
has to be
going up
wrong
against him broad. Well, they're going up against him
at
broad
all
basing.
costs.
He doesn't say particulars anymore. If you've noticed this,
Well,
he
yeah,
doesn't
no,
give
like I said,
statistics anymore. Because
it's always hyperbolic. Yeah.
when he has given statistics, that's when they really could just beat him down on a fact check, right? So now they have to take these generalizations he makes and try and.
Well, no, it's just because he has to be wrong at all costs. He must be wrong.
Well, everybody wants him to be wrong
Like
because.
I've said, as soon as you compare someone to Hitler, you can't say he's done something good or that he might be right, because then you're saying Hitler's right. So you must do all the mental gymnastics to make him be wrong.
Yeah. Um, so he's talking about the amount of illicit drugs, but that are coming, and he needs the border wall to protect that. But typically, most of the drugs that are entering the U.S. are coming through. And notice how this one puts it in there: legal ports of entry. So
Hmm.
these are coming through the toll booths anyway. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not like most of it, but we've seen too many. We know he's probably right on a certain amount of that because how many tunnels have they discovered that have been built
oh yeah, there's
throughout
plenty.
the years, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, Trump boasted that more people are working now than at any time in our history, 157 million. That's roughly accurate, but due to population, blah blah blah. See, now this is where they get me is when they try and fact check him against something. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
no, yeah, we know that there's never really been a time to have 157 million people because yes, there were points in time where that was the entire population of the country, right? I
right,
get it.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's
Uh,
like fucking relax. Factcheck.org.
exaggerated the number of jobs created under his presidency by starting the clock at his election, and he inflated the manufacturing job gain even more. Basically, saying he took credit for the first 3 months after he was elected, but
Yeah.
not before he took office. So whatever growth there was
Citation,
isn't his.
please.
Yeah.
Once
Uh,
again, citations.
right. The president said African American, Hispanic American, and Asian American unemployment have all reached their lowest levels ever recorded. It's true they have reached the lowest levels recorded, but the gap between white unemployment and the rate for black and Hispanic Americans has remained the same.
Okay.
I don't understand what that means. Did that sound a little confusing? The,
Well, it's saying that there's still a gap. So, like, there's way more white people employed
oh,
than any other race, but okay, there's also a lot more white people in the country.
right.
So, there's just jobs all around. So, I mean, it doesn't really make any sense.
See again. Here's another one. Trump inflated the reduction in food stamp recipients on his watch by including the last few months under President Barack Obama. Mischaracterized New York's newly passed abortion law and did not accurately represent Virginia Governor Ralph Northam's comments about an abortion bill in that state.
But to be fair, he did say those exact words, so
Right,
he quoted him.
right. Trump boasts.
So, I mean, what are you going to do, you know?
Trump boasted about the U.S. being the top oil and natural gas producer in the world. Those achievements, however, occurred years ago or have been expected for a long time.
Okay, he didn't say he did it, though. He just said the
Right.
U.S. is the top. So,
See,
again,
this
he's not
is
taking credit for it. This was bullshit. Yeah, this
right.
whole
He
fucking fact check
boasts.
is
He
bullshit.
busts. He boasts. So this is the best they
Yes.
came up with. Now, used to when you did a fact check on Trump giving a speech, like in his first 6 months, they would
Yeah.
fact check the fuck out of him, and they would, of course, they would expose these huge disparities, which has turned into him being much more broad based in what he says. He generalizes things a lot more, but he still does boast slash exaggerate things.
Yeah.
He's a puff piece, right? He puffs things up. That's what you do when you're in sales. You're the big man on campus, right?
Well,
Uh,
yeah, you're not selling a product. You're selling the idea of the product.
right,
You're not selling the steak. You're
right.
selling the sizzle, right?
So if we don't expect that kind of thing, right?
But I mean, still, this writing is just lazy.
Yes.
This fact checking is just absolutely lazy and just pedantic.
And
It's
the
just
sad thing is, we have
yeah,
a lot of people to point to on anything like that. Um, but yeah, this if this is the best they've got, then I've got to give the man props for keeping a pretty sane State of the Union address.
yeah. I thought he did extremely well.
He did all right. I won't knock him. Like I said, he stayed on prompt.
Yeah,
If
I
he
mean, I
had
think
if
that's
he
the
had
best we're gonna get out of you
if
for
he had gone
praising Trump.
if he had gone off the cuff, it would have been a whole fucking different situation,
Yeah, but he
right?
knew how important it was, and so I think he knew to stay
Hmm.
on script because that script was perfect. I don't think he could have done better.
All right, so if we're going to talk about the State of the Union, then one of the things that will often happen is folks will start to look towards the future as well. What will what we're doing right now have an impact on? And Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, AOC, has put out a new, what did I call it, John? A non.
What did you call it?
There's the political term. There's so many syllables. Yeah,
Oh
a
yeah, the
non-binding.
non-binding resolution. Yeah,
Yes, so many syllables. But anyway, she's put forward a
yeah,
new non-binding resolution, which is called the Green New Deal. Right?
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it should be called the New Green Deal, but because it was maybe she's trying to keep away from calling it the New Deal since that's what it was once back in the day. But this is a look at our future and what kind of initiatives we need to aggressively put forward to have a major impact on saving the environment, saving the country as a whole, and how to get us into a better economic place. But there's, I guess, an aggressive half that speaks to the good, But then there's another side of this that, well, I guess you would have to, John, you would say that it's not so great, right?
No, of course not.
Because it speaks to a lot of socialism, right?
Well, it speaks to a lot of authoritarianism, more importantly.
And by authoritarianism, you mean?
It requires absolute control in order to implement it. I mean, you have to pass all kinds of new laws that stop people from doing things, anything. Uh, in order to make it happen in the time that you're trying to make it happen. It's like the 5 year plan. This is just a 12-year plan. It's the same thing.
So this is a this is mostly purely fueled by global warming and environmental impact.
Well, they don't call it that anymore. They call it climate change
Sure. Well,
instead of global warming.
well, I think she quoted because the what she pulled from I thought was she pulled an October 2018 report entitled "Special Report on Global Warming." Um,
Hmm.
so she is referring to climate change in here, but the report was on global warming, right? That
Hmm.
she pulls information from as to what's the impetus behind these resolutions. But a series of goals are put forward that hopefully we can get the United States to mobilize on over the next 10 years. Um, but she's talking about here, the most prominent is the deal calls for a meeting 100% of the power demand in the United States through clean, renewable, and zero emission energy sources. In 10
Hmm.
years' time, getting rid of everything that burns. And I don't
Good
see that
luck.
as a possibility.
No, of course not. But
Um,
just as long as you give her the control, though, she'll make it happen. I
right.
promise, Robert. It'll
Well,
happen.
yeah,
Just trust.
my thought is, I mean, of
Just
course,
give her all the
she's going to
power.
be
It'll
running
be
in eight
okay.
years, right? She's going to run in
Yeah.
8 years or so.
Oh yeah, she's gonna run as soon as she's of the minimum age. She will run.
This also calls for upgrading all existing buildings in the country for energy efficiency. Now, when that says buildings, do you think she means to the rural level, like
No,
every house has got its own
it
solar
it, prob-
panels?
it probably means like to be fair, like be generous or charitable. It probably means like big skyscrapers, buildings of a certain. There'll be a line.
And all
It'll be like anything
appliances,
that.
heating and air conditioning in all buildings
Yeah,
will
it'll
be.
be like any building at this size, at X size or larger, needs to be that. I'm guessing that's what that's going to be.
She wants to work with farmers to eliminate pollution and greenhouse gas emissions.
Yeah, you got to
As
stop cows from farting.
Yeah, and that's the question I was going to ask about this. And she says as much
Hmm.
as is technologically feasible. Am I correct that from the standpoint of agriculture, greenhouse emissions are primarily cow farts, right? That's really the
Yeah.
bulk of it, isn't it?
So we need to introduce a new initiative, butt plugs for all cows, so that we can ensure that they don't fart. It'd be awesome. And not only that, but you get rid of mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms.
No, they've already done that with the food.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Let's see. Overhauling transportation systems to reduce emissions, including expanding electric car manufacturing, building charging stations everywhere, and expanding high speed rail to a scale where air travel stops becoming necessary. Expanding high speed rail to a
Yeah,
scale where air travel stops
yeah.
becoming necessary.
Right. So we're already losing jobs because she has ultimate power, right? So we're already losing jobs in the airlines, and things like that, mechanics. You can't. It's difficult to go from being an airline mechanic to a train mechanic because
Is
they're
it?
totally different. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, it's just a new type of engine, and it's the
Yeah,
engine to
just a new
learn
type of engine.
how to. Yeah, but I mean, you already.
I mean, I suppose they could learn to code. They
I'm
could just
I'm
learn to
I'm
code.
guessing. I would guess that an airplane mechanic probably stands a pretty good chance of working on his own car.
I mean, it depends on.
It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's
sure,
engi-
sure.
it's engineering. It's
Well, it
technical.
depends though, because jet engines are totally different than your car engine.
Sure, but
There's a lot of the same components, but they're also very different.
it's not hard to look at an engine when you know how to fix engines and figure out how to work on it, right? But I mean,
Sure.
if we're going to trade off, there shouldn't be a loss of jobs overall because you would be moving people from airlines into rail. But I cannot imagine that we could improve our high-speed rail in this country and build even enough infrastructure, rail line
Yeah.
in 10 years
Oh
to
yeah,
make
we could
that
absolutely do that.
feasible.
All we have to do is just tax the billionaires at 98% of their income, and then we'll be able to do it. It'll be fine. I mean, it's not like they're going to leave or anything. They're still going to be here.
I mean,
They're not going to move their money offshores or anything. They're still going to be here.
how fast do bullet trains in like Japan and China or wherever they use them? How
Um,
fast do those go? Like 600 miles an hour?
no, I don't think it's 600 miles an
I thought
hour.
they went pretty
They are
fucking
fast.
fast.
They are really fast. I don't think it's 600 though. That's kind of
Well,
a
I
lot.
don't have a I don't have a window. Fact check me on that. How fast is a bullet
Yeah.
train? I
Let
want
me do that.
because let's see. It takes it's what are we? We're 3,000 between 3 and 4,000 miles from coast to coast. Is that correct? Because that's
It's 3,000. I'm not sure.
I want to say
320 kilometers. 200 miles per hour.
200 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Okay, see that makes cross country travel still a long time,
Oh
especially
yeah,
if you
for sure.
factor in stops.
It's not going to be 6 hours like it
No,
is to get from here to California,
and
from
that
Florida to
and
California.
and that will be exactly why people will not want to trade airlines for trains. Because
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
it takes you still 2 or 3 days to get over there by train.
do you know how many not in my backyard protests across the country would be going on
Oh, hell
as they
yeah.
wanted to bring rail line through?
Oh, yeah, all the eminent domain going
Yeah,
on.
oh God,
Fuck,
yes.
Jesus
Yeah, I
Christ,
mean
yeah.
that's a can of worms. I mean, she
So you
might
know
as
what?
well.
We just need to introduce more civil forfeiture. That way we can just take people's property without compensation or, whether or not they care. We just need to give her more power. That's it.
See, I
Just give
can't.
her, just give her all the power, and then everything will work just fine. I promise.
See, I can't believe that she's talking about. She's more focused on electric car manufacturing and having charge stations everywhere on top of the rail,
Yeah.
instead of promoting the. Have you seen the solar highways? They're working on solar roadways.
Yeah. Fuck. Because those were like a while ago, a couple years ago. But an old YouTuber I used to watch, who I don't not a big fan of anymore, Thunderfoot, actually put out an awesome video debunking solar roadways and how horrible they would be. And he's an actual PhD. He's a scientist.
Sure, but I mean,
But I can't remember what the arguments were because it was like I said, it was a few years ago.
well, I don't think the technology is impossible, but I don't expect that it's going to be perfect when it first starts, right? You've got to, I mean, that's why they're working on it. They're experimenting. They're trying to figure it all
Sure,
out.
yeah, you
You
gotta,
got to
yeah,
do that. It
yeah,
just takes
sure.
time. But I don't know how feasible it is. I can honestly say I don't know that it would be feasible because it seems like a very tricky proposition to have millions of cars traveling over solar panels and
Yeah.
powering them. But anyway, now here's where we get tricky. A guaranteed job with a family sustaining wage, adequate family and medical leave, paid
That's
vacations,
scary.
and retirement security for every American. So, a
It's
guaranteed
okay.
job. How do you
Yeah.
guarantee everyone has a job and that job is providing a family sustaining wage? I mean,
Don't
minimum
worry.
wage.
No, it's okay, Robert. Robert, Daddy State will take care of you. It's
Well,
okay.
yeah,
Just
but
submit. Just submit, and
John,
Daddy State will take care of you.
it's fun.
That's all it
I
takes.
hear you say that, but I've also heard you say that you are pro UBI in the right circumstances.
Right context, right? But you're not going to be living off of it.
Well, they wouldn't be living
That's
off of
not
it
going to be
either.
enough.
They would have a
Yeah, no, no, it
job
is
making a
a job
wage. It's not a
enough
UBI.
for enough to take care of your family. A UBI does not provide
Sure.
that.
And does that, but think about it. My guess is that maybe that translates to the both of the spouses have a job with a family sustaining wage.
Both
My
government
guess.
jobs,
No,
obviously.
nobody says government, but if it's
Yeah.
guaranteed, it would have to
All
be
you gotta do
government,
is
right?
just show up at the rock quarry every day and break big rocks into little rocks. It'll be okay. And then Daddy State will take care of you.
Well, ultimately, it's just I don't see how you could guarantee a job. I don't see that there's any guaranteed jobs out there, and if you
No.
start to say that there are guaranteed jobs and you just start putting everybody to work, then I'm picturing a Planet of the Apes scenario
Oh yeah.
where you've just got 100 really poor people walking around with brooms and dustpans all over downtown, and they're getting
Yeah.
a wage.
Well, no, they'll all be used to build the wall.
No, that's already being taken care of. All right, and then we have high quality health care for all Americans. And this is and that one that's going to be the one where it's like nobody's ever going to get that right. So much that an aide for was it Elizabeth Warren, Democratic National Committee, somebody anyway was overheard telling somebody else, and of course this was an article that was put out, and who knows the legitimacy, but he was overheard telling people in the DNC not to worry that none of the candidates who were preaching a single payer health care program were actually going to push this. It was a talking
Yeah.
point.
I love how here in the article they have high quality healthcare. Like high quality healthcare is in quotes, as in like yeah, high quality. You know,
The
kind of
same the
subjective.
same health care that our
Yeah,
representatives in Washington have.
because Cubans think they have pretty good healthcare. Just saying.
So ultimately we have a lot of state intervention to force a change, right? 10
Hmm.
years the government needs to step in and force America to change to renewable energy. And then on top of that, we're going to open
Go
up
carbon
a
neutral.
broader socialist platform to help
Ugh.
take care of Americans. And it would be, you have to get into the nitty gritty of it. See if she talks about is that, are we talking about wage earnings is going to be the primary thing that people are getting, because she doesn't really say anything about welfare. She doesn't say anything about handouts other
Well,
than
that's
the
what the
job
government
being
job.
guaranteed, right?
Right.
Um, but I don't agree that this is all doable. Uh, I was reading what Michael Vegas says.
That's right.
I broke
And
rocks
yeah,
and moved sand with a jank pickaxe a whole year for and made Viet Cong tunnels. Daddy State, give me a gerb.
give me a gerb. Gives me that. Yeah. Gives me that for free.
But most have agreed that targeting net zero carbon economy is in reality is much closer to 2050. Right, doing it in
Sure.
10 years, but seeing that happen by 2050, yeah. And this is and 2050 is like a very, to me it's becoming a more and more important date when it comes to a lot of things. So that hey there, Seawall, how you doing, Seawall?
Oh, hey, Seawall, what's up, man?
Goose
Goose
steps.
steps in the chat. Yes, that's our fashy friend there, Seawall.
All right,
He's a
so
cool guy, though. I'd have
uh,
a beer with him.
so John, I'm gonna go ahead and say that you're against the Green New Deal.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Midget, who was the black guy who ran for governor? What was his name?
Which
Yeah,
governor?
yeah. There's only 50 to choose
Oh wait,
from.
are we talking about? If we're talking about in Florida and Seawall, I'm with you. I'll drink whiskey with you too. Yeah, that's Andrew Gillum is what you're
Andrew
referring to,
Andrew Gillum
Governor.
that we brought a little on. We had it on for a little bit, right? Hey,
Yeah,
John. Before we move on to the next thing, because I want to, I want to just take a few minutes and watch this short video because I thought it was kind of impressive. But we have a shameless plug for our Monday show with one of our audience members, don't we?
and also Michael Vega. Vodka is gay, man. Don't do it.
That
Vodka's the worst.
no, Michael Vega,
See?
I'm with you. I'm an absolute man. I don't drink anything else.
Yeah, see, if Robert's agreeing with you, you know it's bad.
But anyway, what's going on Monday? Now that I see the man has shown up.
Yeah, we're having Seawall is going to be on our show. We're going to make him do the political compass test so we can see exactly how fashy he is.
Right, see how high his goose step actually is.
That's right. That's
I shall
funny.
make the stream great again.
That's right. Yeah, the stream is failing. We need to make it great again.
Hey, now that we're coming, we've got a little less than 2 years in this ramp up towards the 2020 election. And I was looking at some stuff about AOC, and I happened to come across this recent conversation she had. I guess that's on the House floor. Looks like some sort of little committee meeting or whatever, right?
Yeah, judiciary meeting.
And
Judiciary committee.
she's talking about campaign financing issues, reform, right? And I thought she did a good job in pointing this out. Now, I do bear in mind that this is coming from a 27-year-old snot-nosed millennial.
She's 29.
Oh, is she 29 now? I thought she was 27.
She's actually slightly older than me. I'm not going to be 29 until the 17th.
Oh, well, shit, she will be running in 8 years then. She will definitely be running in 8 years, unless she fucks herself between now and then.
It might happen. Unless she gets out of the public light, she might fuck herself up. She really needs to be out of the public sphere for a little while.
You think she needs to keep a low profile as she comes in and write, but not sell out?
Because because she's just gaffe after gaffe after gaffe. If she keeps that up for another 8 years, that's it. She's not gonna have any credibility anymore.
So she needs
to lay low, introduce some. What she needs to do right now is lay low, and introduce some non-controversial legislation, so that she has something to point to when she's running. Something that's kind of, I guess, milquetoast. Just kind of whatever. Not her. This. She's coming in very bold, and I don't think she can keep the momentum for 8 years.
I think the only thing that'll hurt her is if something comes up that she posted on Instagram or Snapchat. That's about the only thing that'll hurt her.
Yeah, I think it would have already come up, though.
One would think, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so I liked what she did in this conversation, in pointing out the immense disparity in our elections, our campaign system, the way it's set up. But anyway, if you don't mind, please indulge me. We'll watch this for a minute, and you tell me what you think.
All right, well, let me pull it up real quick, because I can't hear it on your side.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to start playing it for the folks at home.
To be a pretty bad guy.
All right.
So it's even easier for the President of the United States to be one, I would assume.
That's right.
Thank you very much. Let's play a lightning round game. I'm going to be the bad guy, which I'm sure half the room would agree with anyway. And I want to get away.
I love how she does a little self-deprecation there at the beginning. Pretend I'm a really bad guy, which I'm sure half of you think I am already. I love it.
As much bad things as possible, ideally to enrich myself and advance my interest, even if that means putting my interests ahead of the American people. I have enlisted all of you as my co-conspirators, so you're going to help me legally get away with all of this. So, Mrs. Hobart Flynn, I want to run. If I want to run a campaign that is entirely funded by corporate political action committees, is there anything that legally prevents me from doing that?
No.
Okay, so there's nothing stopping me from being entirely funded by corporate PACs, say from the fossil fuel industry, the healthcare industry, big pharma. I'm entirely 100% lobbyist PAC funded. Okay, so let's say I'm a really, really bad guy, and let's say I have some skeletons in my closet that I need to cover up so that I can get elected. Mr. Smith, is it true that you wrote this article, this opinion piece for the Washington Post entitled, "These payments to women were unseemly, that doesn't mean they were illegal"?
Well, I can't see the piece, but I wrote a piece under that headline in the Post, so I assume that's right.
Okay, great. So, green light for hush money. I can do all sorts of terrible things. It's totally legal right now for me to pay people off. And that is considered speech. That money is considered speech. So I use my special interest dark money funded campaign to pay off folks that I need to pay off and get elected. So now I'm elected, now I'm in. I've got the power to draft, lobby, and shape the laws that govern the United States of America. Fabulous. Now, is there any hard limit that I have? Perhaps Mrs. Hobart Flynn, is there any hard limit that I have in terms of what legislation I'm allowed to touch? Are there any limits on the laws that I can write or influence, especially if I'm based on the special interest funds that I accepted to finance my campaign and get me elected in the first place?
There's no limit.
So there's none. So I can be totally funded by oil and gas. I can be totally funded by Big Pharma, come in, write Big Pharma laws, and there's no limits to that whatsoever.
That's right.
Okay, so awesome. Now, Mr. Mirabani, the last thing I want to do is get rich with as little work possible. That's really what I'm trying to do as the bad guy, right? So is there anything preventing me from holding stocks, say, in an oil or gas company, and then writing laws to deregulate that industry and cause, that could potentially cause the stock value to soar and accrue a lot of money in that time?
You could do that.
So I could do that. I could do that now with the way our current laws are set up. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. Is it possible that any elements of this story apply to our current government and our current public servants right now?
Yes.
Yes.
So we have a system that is fundamentally broken. We have these influences existing in this body, which means that these influences are here in this committee shaping the questions that are being asked of you all right now. Would you say that that's correct,
Yes.
Mr. Mirabani or Mr. Schaub?
Yes.
All right, so one last thing, Mr. Schaub. In relation to congressional oversight that we have, the limits that are placed on me as a congresswoman, compared to the executive branch and compared to, say, the President of the United States, would you say that Congress has the same sort of standard of accountability? Is there more teeth in that regulation in Congress on the president, or would you say it's about even, or more so on the federal?
In terms of laws that apply to the president, yeah, there's just almost no laws at all that apply to the president.
So I'm being held, and every person in this body is being held to a higher ethical standard than the President of the United States.
That's right, because there are some committee ethics rules that apply to you.
And it's already super legal, as we've seen, for me to be a pretty bad guy. So it's even easier for the President of the United States to be one, I would assume.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree with Seawall here, by the way. He says, why do I expect her to be found dead with 3 shotgun blasts to the back of her head and have it ruled as a suicide?
Right,
Yeah,
3.
it's coming up. That's right, it's coming up.
So, you
Yeah.
know, I thought those were really good questions.
Yeah.
Those are that in a nutshell really does show just how shitty we have let things get and how our candidates are being elected, how they're getting in front of us, and why they're getting on top of the stump or able to be on top of the stump and preaching their message.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing to me that this is what it's become. Yeah, why are the cute ones crazy as fuck? That's funny.
Yeah, well, that's because they're allowed to be. People will still fuck them.
And isn't it strange? The same people that have to be beholding to those rules are the ones that are making those rules and expanding the rules, because they blew my fucking mind at the PAC/Super PAC, when they rolled those things out, and I was just like, okay, that's just stupid. I can't believe that they're going to allow this, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that was ridiculous.
so I'm.
So, I mean, I agree with her in the fact that we definitely need campaign financing reform. I mean, there's a couple issues with she was trying to imply things that aren't necessarily true, but such as like she's talking about, oh, so I can do all of this, I can do this, what kind of legislation can I touch, or I can just write. It's almost like she was trying to imply that she can single-handedly pass,
well,
bills
well, no, but
in.
I took from it that that she was literally saying, okay, so big pharma can sponsor me in my campaign, and then I can turn around and push for
Yeah,
legislation for big pharma, or
but
even introduce.
there's still however many other Congress people,
Sure,
and
sure, I
so
understand
and there's
that.
also conflicting. So not that I agree with it, right? But there's also conflicting, interests, other conflicting lobbyists.
Sure.
So like, while big pharma might support you, someone else might support me that would
Well,
go against that.
well,
And so not that I'm saying I like that, and not that saying that I agree with that. I'm just saying that it seems like she's implying that they're single handedly passing this legislation.
no, I think all she really pointed out that support is the wrong word to use. That those interests are able to buy support in Congress. They are able to buy the
Yeah, of
support they
course, yeah.
need, right?
Which is bad, yeah.
Yeah,
Which is not a good thing.
that's what I took away from it. Just like it's crazy how all that money is passing back and forth, and you know, and it's literally buying legislation. It's buying what happens to Americans.
Yeah.
I mean, it's controlling
Yeah.
it. I've always hated that, and I think it's just turned into much more of a shit
Yeah, I think
show.
it's a really bad thing, absolutely.
But now overall, it was her trying to. I mean, if you didn't see her
Yeah, she's
digging at the fucking president right there over
Oh
and
yeah,
over
at the end,
again,
yeah.
if
Yeah, but that's
if
gonna bite her in the ass for when she goes to run for president. That'll bite her in the ass later on.
so if you put laws in place, it will push it underground and give the people a false sense of security. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm. Yeah, it's
Typically
true
does.
because it's gonna happen either way. Yeah, he's right about that.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's kind of it's kind of the same thing with any kind of prohibition, really making guns illegal, making drugs illegal. It's just gonna push it underground and make it more dirty than it is when it's in the sunlight.
So do you think this is the kind of thing that will make them, I guess, Marilyn Monroe her, or JFK her?
Yeah, I think more like JFK her. Yeah,
Well,
she's gonna be added to the Clinton body count soon.
I don't
Don't worry
know.
about that.
The Clinton body count? I don't know that the Clintons would go after her.
Maybe not the Clintons, but
I would think
someone.
somebody else would trump them in going after her, but I just can't think of who.
Oh yeah, that's totally gonna happen. Trump's all about the body count. Yeah, come on.
So anyway, I thought that was fun. I wanted to share it. I think she's not stupid, but she's not bright.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? She's not real
Well,
smart,
so
but she's not stupid. I don't know. Is there a
so
middle ground
I
there?
think she has the potential to be. She's intelligent. I don't think she's knowledgeable, and
Well,
there is a difference.
do you think that's from lack of experience?
Yes, yeah, I think it's a lack of experience, a lack of life experience as well.
But
She doesn't have the wisdom. What she has is activism,
sure.
and that's why she's done as well as she has.
And isn't that though what a lot of people have been asking for on both
Yeah,
sides, on both parties, is that we get new blood in, and
yeah, which is
unfortunately
good.
that
Yeah,
means you've got
you
to
want
get
new
young
blood.
blood in, right?
Yeah,
I think we
absolutely.
need a somewhat younger audience in Washington, right? Like my
Yeah,
generation has proven that we are likely going to fuck things up. or continue to fuck things up. So, now do I want our young generation taking Washington this social justice warrior path? No.
No, that's one of
But
the risks you take when you say you want to get new ideas. You're gonna get some bad ideas. I mean,
yeah, it's
you gotta try them out and have them tested against other ideas in order to find out which ones are good and which ones are bad.
look, what I really want to know is there, as long as there's somebody going to be around to change my diapers when I get older, I'm all good.
Well, maybe that'll be someone's government-sanctioned job. Change your diapers.
Right. So, in the vein of Washington and politics, it's interesting. So, are you familiar with how Donald Trump is tied in with the National Enquirer, right? He and Pecker are good friends, or they were, right? And there was a lot of speculation that Trump used the National Enquirer during the elections to keep a slam on Hillary, assuming that most people took that rag seriously.
Yeah, in between Bat Boy articles.
Right. But they never put anything out that dissed on Trump, right? That was one of the main things that was important in all of that. And then, of course, there's all the speculation that they helped him use hush money to shut stories down. They were using a catch and kill process for stories that would affect him, and they were paying off people to keep quiet.
Sure.
Well, they decided that they were going to be open in the Mueller the investigations that touched on them, and they decided they were going to be open. So that kind of put some distance between Trump and Pecker, because Trump doesn't want anybody like capitulating in that way. He wants them to stay loyal.
Yeah, what a great name, by the way.
What's that?
Pecker,
right?
Pecker.
It appears, based on speculation, that Pecker has looked for a way to appease himself with Trump and get back into Trump's good graces. And he has done that by attacking one of Trump's nemesis. Is that how we roll with that?
I imagine it would be. Yeah.
And it's about a story that apparently the National Enquirer has or threatened to run, and run this story on what billionaires are hiding. And Jeff Bezos is in there. Now, when we talk about Jeff Bezos, we're talking about the CEO of Amazon, the single richest person in the world.
Yeah.
And so he is alleging that the National Enquirer specifically blackmailed, or what's the other word I'm looking for that he also called it?
Extortion?
Extorted. They're trying to extort him. And in running a story about him cheating on his wife, and apparently they've got, I don't know, dick pics or something of Jeff Bezos that's
telling you,
very
man,
slamming.
The internet will find you, and they will send you dick pics. So hopefully we don't get to see Jeff Bezos' dick pics. I'm not a fan.
So they said that if he doesn't step back from what he's doing, that they are going to run this, that they want him to drop any allegations that they're extorting or blackmailing him. It's kind of this weird thing. It's like, we're going to do this if you don't stop saying that we're not
doing this,
that we're not good, that we're doing bad things, right? But apparently Bezos isn't the only one. Since he's come out yesterday and talked about this, a couple of other journalists have come out and said that they've been threatened by AMI with similar things, that they would be exposed in some bullshit if they didn't capitulate to what the National Enquirer wants. And a lot of this is centered around stories that they were doing on Trump in regards to the hush money and the National Enquirer. one of the people that has come out, so Ronan Farrow is one that says, I and at least one other prominent journalist involved in breaking stories about the National Enquirer's arrangement with Trump fielded similar "stop digging or we will ruin you" blackmail efforts from AMI, which they said they didn't cut deals or anything because, they wanted to keep on reporting. Ted Bridus. We were warned explicitly by insiders that AMI had hired private investigators to dig into backgrounds of AP journalists looking into the tabloid's efforts on behalf of Trump. Never saw evidence of this either way, and it didn't stop our reporting. So they never knew if there was anybody digging up dirt on them, but apparently they were threatened with the possibility. Also, there's a doorman for Trump Tower who claims his name is Dino Sojudin. He used to be a doorman at one of Trump's buildings. Sorry, I guess it wasn't Trump Tower. I don't know how many buildings Trump has in New York. I guess all of them.
Oh, yeah, all of them, right?
But he says he was threatened by AMI, who had paid him $30,000 in hush money to not talk about Trump and a Playboy playmate he was sleeping with, and threatened him by reminding him of a $1 million penalty if he did speak out and talked about this. And it said that they threatened that if he spoke up, it would have detrimental, life-changing consequences for him and his family. That's pretty harsh, right?
Yeah.
And then today, Terry Crews comes out. Terry Crews, the actor. Big burly fella, right? The same company, AMI, tried to silence me in my lawsuit against WME and Adam Vennett by fabricating stories of me with prostitutes, and even went so far as creating fake receipts. I called their bluff by releasing their threats online. They blinked.
That sounds like total bullshit. Like, first of all, Terry Crews is a very famous and decently looking guy. He doesn't need to get prostitutes. He can just walk outside and get pussy. Not a problem. And then who gives receipts for a prostitute? Like, I mean, come on. Prostitutes aren't known for giving out receipts.
Right.
I mean,
and not many people are paying. Not too many people pay with a charge card still, right? It's It's primarily a cash industry unless you're on a webcam site, right?
I suppose.
Seawall says, well, the journalists were digging dirt up on the Inquirer, so it could easily be claimed like for like treatment. However, I will say this: the difference being, a journalist digging up a story on the National Enquirer and their association with Trump, blah, 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 is not them reaching out to the Enquirer and threatening to run this story if they don't do something.
Yeah. And yes, Midget B, please check 4chan for nudes, because if there are, that's where they'll be. See if we can find Bezos nudes. You got to wade through all the, traps and different kind of crazy porn, but they'll be in there, I'm sure.
Oh, wow. I didn't know this. Also, Cruz has also alleged that the William Morris Endeavor, that's WME, that he's got the suit with, their agent Adam Vennett, who he mentioned, grabbed and squeezed his crotch at a 2016 party. Vennett denied the allegation in court documents. Cruz and Vennett agreed to settle the actor's civil lawsuit in September. Vennett did not admit to the allegations, but did take responsibility for the situation in a letter of apology to Cruz. Oh, I didn't do it, but I'll settle.
I mean, to be fair, though, that's a story you have there. Oh yeah, I squeezed Terry Cruz's crotch one time. I gotta say, might be something to look into.
And yeah, I agree. Seawall, journalists have been caught fucking people's lives over. Yes, and I won't say that things like that don't happen, but that's not. I mean, we can't generalize that all reporters and journalists are exactly the same. If we do that, then we're no better than anybody else, right?
We're no better than the journalists.
Right. The reporters that are generalizing everything, right?
Yeah, they can get fucked.
Well, we can't sit here and say all journalists are bad, because there are still real journalists out there.
Hashtag not all.
But most of them are the real journalists. Ironically, I think, are not reporting on political news.
Yeah,
They're
they're reporting for BuzzFeed instead.
Right. Well, I see. I think there's real journalists out there covering, internal strife in cities and exposing corrupt city officials and, state officials and things like this, and actually digging and doing real reporting and journalism, right? Whereas
They're out there, sure.
Whereas anybody who's covering politics, it's no more than it's just a shit show. I will agree with that. But I think that to use this in a political manner, the way the National Enquirer is, with Pecker's known ties to Trump, it's kind of a stupid move. It's kind of stupid things to do, especially Jeff Bezos. He is kind of the richest person on the planet. He's the guy you don't want to fuck with. I mean, what do you think you're in prison? You're going up to the biggest guy in the cell fucking block and punching him in the face, and you think you're gonna, that's gonna
if you're gonna punch him
that's
in the
gonna make
face,
you real media again.
If you're gonna punch him in the face, you better knock him the fuck out or start running, because he's gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I don't. How does the National Enquirer expect someone to take them seriously when they do make a threat? It's like, really, what are you going to put in there? You're gonna tell the world that I'm having an affair, and like you said, John, on the page after the Bat Boy story, I mean, or am I going to be like after the story that the dragons from the Game of Thrones were real and they live in Topeka, Kansas? I mean, what reality check are you going to give the American public with your rag? So it's one of those stupid things, and it's like, how much power does it? I mean, do they make a lot of money? I guess they do. I guess they make a ton of fucking money out in the Midwest. Maybe, I don't know who buys this shit. That was assuming the Inquirer wasn't threatened first. I don't know. Why would you threaten the Inquirer? Like I said, I mean, anybody with any intelligence knows the Inquirer is just a smut rag anyway. It's
right.
It doesn't really carry any weight or value to the bulk of the real.
It's entertainment.
Educated people in the country.
It's like the Onion or Babylon Bee. It's just
Onion. I would compare it to the Onion all day long. Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
not as funny though. It's like it comes at you as being serious as opposed to like outright satire.
I did the only thing that I really ever look at the National Enquirer for is to see updated pictures of Elvis.
Yeah, right.
So when they post that, it's like Elvis caught on camera, boom, and there it is, and some big fat guy, with, walking through the double doors at a fucking donut shop or something. Elvis caught by a donut. No, he wasn't. Hey, speaking of Amazon. Yes. I don't know if you've heard recently that they have been making a bid to put a new headquarters in New York, a second headquarter here in the United States there, right?
I actually heard that very recently, right before we started the show. Yeah. You told me.
Is that really all you've known about it? You didn't know?
Yeah, I don't follow Amazon. I don't care what Amazon does.
Wow. So the deal was put for, like they New York said, okay, yeah, we'll do this, and they really made a bad deal, to put it in Trump speak, made a really bad deal, because they treated Amazon like they needed Amazon. Like, you're fucking New York City. You don't need Amazon to put a headquarters there to be fucking New York City, right? You're like worldwide known New York City. You're a global destination.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You don't need new headquarters there.
But apparently,
I guess they want to get out of Seattle, though.
Well, no, they're going to keep the headquarters there. This is a second headquarters.
HQ2, I see that now.
And it's 25,000 employee headquarters that they're going to build. But they played New York against another city as to who was going to get the headquarters, to the point that New York capitulated and gave them $3 billion in incentives to build in New York.
What that means is like a tax break, right? So they're
For the
not
most
giving
part,
them
basically, yes,
$3
they're
billion.
going to.
Right?
No, they're
They're
not
just
giving
saying
them.
don't pay $3 billion in taxes.
For the most part. I mean, a lot of it
Yeah.
is going to be about taxes and,
Yeah.
building permits and things like this. All the things that are going to
Sure.
go into putting this facility there. And, the rest will be taxes. So, yeah, there's a substantial tax bill that Amazon's not going to have to worry about for a while when they come into New York if they build. Well, now they're reconsidering because the public outcry against this has been pretty big, and a lot of it has been coming from the top people in New York City, although Governor Cuomo, or Mayor Cuomo, right? Mayor of New York. Mayor Cuomo.
He's a mayor, right? Isn't he?
He's
Yeah.
He's a mayor.
Pretty sure he's the mayor.
He is still on board with it. He wants them to come in. He stands by it because, of course, he helped. Oh no, it's Governor Cuomo, New York governor, New York State
Governor, yeah. So you had me second guessing myself. God damn it.
Well, yeah, it's always my fault.
Yeah,
I
it
get
is.
governors and mayors confused a lot because they're both, they do things, and
They do
it's
stuff,
confusing in New York because there's New York City and there's New York State, and one has a
Right.
mayor and one has a governor. It's
Yeah.
very confusing city.
It's kind of like
State.
Orlando. One has in Florida. One has a mayor.
No, that would be
One
if,
has a governor.
if we were in Florida, Florida. I mean,
Yeah, no,
that's
I know.
Florida City, Florida, maybe.
Yeah.
But they're rethinking this now because it's like, okay, nobody's liking this. Even AOC, she even had a little something to say. Can everyday people come together and effectively organize against creeping overreach of one of the world's biggest corporations? Yes, they can. And this is.
See, what would be awesome if she said, "Can everyday people come together and effectively organize against creeping overreach of the government?" Would be awesome too. If she could just kind of throw that in there, that'd be nice.
John.
Just saying.
Stop trying to impose your will on people. Gosh. John, not everybody has to think like you.
No, they don't,
So,
but they should.
so the state's agreement with Amazon guaranteed $27 billion in revenue for New York, with $3 billion returned to Amazon in tax credits. He called the deal the largest economic development project signed in the state's history. It would bring 25,000 jobs to the state. Now, that's huge. I see that that's huge. But as many people have been pointing out since this deal was struck, infrastructure is suffering in New York City. And, the subways, buildings.
Yeah.
There are places where $3 billion would help. Schools. I mean, people are pissed. It's like, why can't $3 billion, why can't that be used towards schools as opposed to bringing Amazon in, who is...
So again, they're not really spending the money; they're just not receiving it.
Sure, but the point that these people are asking is, why are we pandering to a company that has more than enough capital to come in here? We don't need Amazon. Amazon needs us.
From what they're thinking is that all the state income taxes that are going to be paid by the 25,000 new jobs that are there. And Seawall says they have too many people in New York City. We need to depopulate the city. Yeah, they're doing that. They're all coming here to Florida. That's where they go.
Not enough.
They're all coming
I
here.
mean, to depopulate New York. I mean, that place, he's
but
right.
they are
It's
coming here, though.
overpopulated. I mean, now, when they do a whole escape from New York thing up there, that'll change things. They'll move all the people out and then turn it into a maximum security prison, and everything will be fine. But I don't know if Kurt Russell is getting older, so they need to do it soon. Because how are we going to get AOC rescued from New York City prison?
They also did that with Batman too. Batman Arkham City.
Arkham City,
where they turned Arkham into a big ass prison.
So I don't know. What do you think, John? I mean, isn't that wouldn't you agree that that's a bad move for New York to make? I mean, $3 billion in tax credits. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
see, I don't think the government should be incentivizing businesses to move in to anywhere. I think that, if they want to be in New York, they should go to New York. If they want to be in whatever other place they were considering, they should go there. I mean, I don't like I usually don't like corporations and government mixing.
yeah.
Not a good idea.
And when it's all said and done, you know, a lot of it was that people in New York felt like they were being played and held hostage to get
Hmm.
this. I mean, 25,000 jobs. That's a significant impact on
Yeah.
on an area, and to dangle it out there and go, "What do you do for us?" Who will swallow? Who's going to
Hmm.
swallow? We don't want a spitter. We want someone who will
Right.
swallow. So who's willing to swallow our mess?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
and New York did. And if they don't put it in, I think that would be just fine. I mean, there's lots of places they could put a fucking headquarters without holding anybody hostage. They have the capital. I mean, what is New York going to say? No, you can't come in unless you let us give
Right.
you $3 billion in tax credits. I
Right.
mean,
No.
if you just
Yeah.
knock on the door and be like, "Hey, we want to bring 25,000 jobs to the area. Can we build this infrastructure?" Yes, please build
Yeah.
this.
Go ahead.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. But Amazon is getting that big though. They're getting too big for their britches. I mean, where were we? Where were we before Amazon? Where was Jeff Bezos? You didn't know anything, and now in just less than 2 decades? How long has Amazon really been around going?
Like 2003, 2004.
So 15
No, maybe
years.
maybe more than that, or maybe less than that. I mean,
So
I'm
less
not
than
sure
two
exactly when they
less than
started
two
out, but they were,
decades.
yeah, yeah,
Less
yeah. They were just a bookshop, like a
yeah.
bookstore, online bookstore to start with.
Less than 2 decades, and he's the richest man in the world, largest company in the world. He's surpassed Walmart.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, which makes him this the if he surpassed Walmart, then he should be like the strongest economic power in the world.
Probably.
Yeah, because
And the best thing
Walmart
is,
Walmart
he doesn't have like physical brick and mortar locations that you go to. Like he's got all the logistics and stuff, but he uses they use UPS and FedEx and
sure.
their own delivery service now. But it's all started by other people, so they're spending a lot less than Walmart is and making a shitload more.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
and
a
but
yeah, it's a great
it's a company, so it's an entity. Um,
yeah.
in the early 2000s, there was a ranking of where of the largest economic forces, and Walmart was listed as number three. Like it was the
Yeah.
third biggest economic entity in the world, and that was listing countries as well. So like
Oh
they
wow.
could buy countries.
Holy shit.
Well, Amazon's bigger than that now. So,
Right.
I mean, Amazon can pretty much do whatever they want. So they don't
Yeah.
really have to worry about getting deals. But then on the flip side, they can do what they want. So they can make people bend the knee
Hmm.
to get them in there. And that's a
But they
scary
didn't even
thought.
ask. New York just bent the knee anyway. They didn't even
No,
ask.
no, there was a lot of back and forth on this
Oh, okay.
in the initial or the early stages of it because as I said, there was another city. Was it Boston, Philadelphia? It was somewhere else up in the Northeast. They were
Yeah.
forcing the two cities like they were trying to get the fucking Olympics, basically, and
Right.
making it who was
Making
going to
them
make the
compete.
best deal with Amazon to get Amazon's
Yeah.
headquarters. Um,
Tremendous deal.
and it's you know they're going to there are in the next 10 years they're going to have significant impact on shipping because they will no longer be using UPS and FedEx and the United States Postal Service. They will be primarily, if not 100%, using their own shipping services and
Hmm.
subsidizing delivery hubs throughout the country, throughout the world. Because I've told you, you can now start your own delivery hub
Yeah.
and get vans and drive Amazon, hire people to drive Amazon vans, so they're third party in that as well. Putting that in somebody else's hand. They're making such hand over fist money they can, you know, like you said, they don't. There's nothing too physical about them except locations to distribute product.
Right. Right. Yeah, logistics warehouses and things like that.
Yeah, actually,
Absolutely.
Midget, there are 2 fulfillment centers with, I believe, a third fulfillment center that is coming here to or in the Orlando area.
Hmm.
And I know that if you're talking about up in the northern part of the state where you're at,
Yeah.
yeah, there's those. They are making it to where, I mean, their goal is to make sure that they can deliver to any location in the United States within 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the scale that they have to grow to be able to do that, just from a shipping and delivery standpoint. 2 hours to any location in the United States.
Yeah, maybe they'll actually get that drone program going.
Oh, that's working, and then they'll be one of the big
Well, I meant
pushes
like,
to
yeah,
self-driving vehicles too.
probably
They're going to be,
self-driving delivery drones.
yeah, because they're going to want to eventually take the human element out of it if they can. Amazon is so massive and has put so much into their cybersecurity. They actually are like the only non-defense contractor that can do weapons deals to nations electronically.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely a good point. Um,
Yeah.
and and there's the other thing. They've got Amazon Web Services. I mean, they are now going to be looking to take over your internet too. Like they are going to be the cloud.
Yeah.
Their goal is to become the cloud. So the question becomes: Will they? Would Amazon ultimately be considered a monopoly if a lot of what it sells is coming from third-party vendors through their site?
Yeah, I don't know if that counts.
Seawall says they mainly handling cash. Of course, they are a vertical monopoly, not as nasty as its horizontal cousin.
Right.
A
So
vertical
it's not,
monopoly.
you're right. So it's not, I think what he's trying to say is that they're not taking over like one area. They're taking over, they're trying to spread their base around.
Right. They don't own
Trying to do a bunch
everything,
of stuff. Right.
but they sit on top of the entire
Of every,
chain
yeah, right,
of
exactly. This is
of
the top
how
of the
product
chain.
travels.
Right, as opposed to just stopping competition. They're just saying, hey, we'll take care of your delivery needs. We'll deliver the things that you have
which
instead
is
of selling it themselves.
which is absolutely genius, because
Yeah,
that is what will be their safeguard against government overreach.
right.
The government can't stand in. I would be correct in saying that if we're talking a vertical versus horizontal monopoly, you a vertical monopoly is not wrong, right? There's no issue there. Whereas if you were destroying competition by monopolizing,
Right, they're not really destroying competition, although it'd be really difficult for someone else to be doing what Amazon is doing itself. You know what I mean? And yeah, Seawell's right. Certainly not legally. We're talking about forming a monopoly and
right?
stopping
You can't,
competition.
right? But the way they're doing
So
it, they're not doing anything illegal, right?
no, no. As far as I know, they're not. I mean, maybe there's something, but I mean, as far as I can see, there's nothing illegal there.
Because I know Trump has tried to call them out in the past from the monopoly standpoint, but again, they're not they're not quashing business. I mean, when it's all said and done, the upside to them is uh,
Hmm. Yeah, you got to stop reading stuff
I
and
know.
causing dead air.
Well, then you got to read them for me and read them
Well, no,
out
if
loud.
you're gonna read it, though, read it out loud. That's all.
Oh, don't shush, shush. It's late. It's late, and I'm old.
Yeah, it's true.
But I don't. I can't see how. I mean, they can pretty much get around every avenue of any of it being considered a monopoly. They can easily get around that. They don't destroy competition, and the only competition, technically, that they do impact is not the same competition because they're competing with brick and mortar and they're online. So they're not monopolizing anything there from a retail standpoint because they're not trying to buy up. Walmart,
Right.
Target.
Yeah, they're not trying to buy up. They're just trying to say, hey, we'll deliver this stuff. We'll, uh, whatever it is, we'll take care of the service, with you as opposed to against you.
That's,
And yes, Midget B, shout out to YouTuber Law, who is going to be taking care of the Patreon antitrust case. He was going against PayPal and Mastercard,
oh
I
yeah,
believe.
for
Yeah, he's trying to file a complaint with the what is it? What is he trying to the FCC? I believe so.
Is that who governs the internet, right?
Yeah. Federal Communications Commission, who shouldn't exist, by the way, but that's a whole different thing. Oh, the FTC, FCC or FTC?
The Federal Trade Commission.
Federal
It's the
Trade
FTC.
Commission.
Right.
Okay, yeah,
Exactly.
FTC. Sorry.
It's hard to
Gotcha.
determine what you fall under whenever you're doing communications, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But unless we got something else, do we have anything else to talk about?
So Seawall says that Amazon Basics, the generic brand they own, they don't make themselves. They just subcontract various companies and buy wholesale.
Right.
Yeah, see, that's their whole.
And I agree. Fuck the FCC.
Yeah, they. He says they're actually only a partial vertical monopoly in transport and in sales. So, yeah, I mean, they are fine. It's almost like Bezos is smart enough to set this whole thing up to where it won't fail,
Yeah.
or it can't be stopped.
Right.
I mean-
It is pretty much too big to fail, to use that old line.
And as long as from the shipping aspect, if they take on their own shipping, planes, trains, automobiles, and all that,
It was a good movie.
but they only ship their own products,
Yeah.
just because they take out the bulk of the job that all these other distributors are doing. Do what?
Yeah. They're not just shipping their own products, though. That's the thing, is they're shipping other people's products.
Well, they're only shipping things sold through Amazon.
Well, yeah, of course. But
That's
I'm
what I
saying
mean.
that.
But that's
Okay, yeah.
I'm sure that's a big bulk of what UPS, FedEx, and the United States Postal Service, outside of just letter mail and junk mail,
Yeah.
a lot of their traffic is Amazon business.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And if that goes away, it's not like they're killing the competition. They're just taking the business away from them that they can do themselves. Again, yeah, so they're going to rule the world. Just FYI, just watch.
Yeah.
So Bezos is going to run for president.
So was Walmart, and now they're starting to fall down. So.
Yeah, but who knew Amazon was coming? See, that's where Walmart fucked
Well, yeah.
up.
So we don't know what the next thing's going to be, right?
What could be better than Amazon? How can you improve on this?
What can be better than Walmart? How can you improve on that?
With Amazon?
Right. Okay. Right, but we didn't know that at the time when people were saying that.
there's just-
Right? So.
But Amazon's
I think
already
there's
working
gotta
on.
be something else.
They're already working on teleportation as well, right? They're researching teleportation. So, I mean, that would
Oh
be
my
the
God,
only.
yeah.
That could only be the next best thing. That would be the last thing. So, except replicators. So, outside of those two things, and one they're already looking into. Nobody's going to stop Amazon.
They're already looking at teleportation.
They are. They have an R&D department, and one of the things that they're looking into is the science behind teleportation.
Are you sure you didn't read that in the Onion?
I'm just saying.
Sounds like bullshit to me.
If would you
I need
not? If
citations.
you were in his position, would you not be doing the same thing?
No.
Why wouldn't you? If you
Because
could be
I'd
the
too busy-
company
I'd be
that
too
brought
busy getting
teleporting
blown by prostitutes and shit. There's no way. I wouldn't be doing that.
If you were Jeff Bezos, that would be what you would be doing.
Absolutely.
That's all you'd be doing. You wouldn't be
I'd
thinking.
have
Okay.
Yeah, I would have a suitcase that I would keep with me at all times, and then just gonna unzip it, and then she would just pop out,
And
suck my
you're
dick,
right.
and then go back into it and just zip it back up.
Midget B, a capitalist. He says a capitalist will never make replicators. I disagree with that. If it's a subscription service.
Well, that would be a thing, and then also, like if you're talking about like the Star Trek version of replicators, they still require something to put into it in order to create the thing so you still need to constantly resupply it,
Which is
and
what
that's what you're going to be paying. That's what you're going to be paying for. Much like how with a printer, the printer's pretty cheap, but the ink is very
Right.
expensive.
Well, and that is why I always thought there should have been no trouble with tribbles.
Well, they were self-replicating.
Yes, use those. Throw one of those in the replicator and spit out a ribeye steak. Right.
Yeah. I don't think
Soylent Green is tribbles. It's tribbles.
Yeah.
All right, and on that note, Soylent Green is tribbles. God, that's got to be a T-shirt. Can you make that as a T-shirt for me for my next holiday, John? Soylent Green is tribbles.
I'll probably forget.
Well, I'll put that out there on my wish list for all our followers and listeners. Hey, John, this has been fun. It's been an exciting time, and I have a greater appreciation for AOC. I think I might be in love, except she looks a lot more manly now than she did in her high school video. If I can get away with saying that. If not, then I retract all comments. Outside of that, hey, look, we got another Tenchi Ryoku-Muyo.
That would be Tenchi Ryoku-Muyo.
Do you know who that is?
I do know who that is. And you know who that is as well.
Do I?
That would be your cousin, yeah.
That's my cousin. That's
right.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew he was around here somewhere. No, that is my cousin. Good to see you. Good to see you, Tench. It's glad to see you pop in at the last minute. Get your 30 seconds of fame.
Lol, some weeb. See, there we go. Seawell's got the hashtags in there. John is right. Rob is wrong. Seawell is coming.
I can't wait to see
on Monday.
I can't wait to see the two of you goose stepping into Monday night.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We might have to call that as episode "Stirring the Shit."
Stirring the shit. I like it. Yeah, we'll call it that.
All right. Hey, thanks for listening out there, folks. We have got that like button. We've got that subscribe button. They're both hanging down there. Links to everything that we talked about tonight are in the description. Keep an eye out for us on Monday nights at 9 o'clock for our Shooting the Shit episodes. We will be having Seawall on the episode on Monday coming up. And then watch for us again next Friday at 8:30 when we do our next episode of this madness. Yeah. John, they can find us where?
On Twitter at the GenGapP.
All right,
right
folks.
Down in the description. You can click that link. It'll bring you right there. I promise.
All right. We are going to be out of here, folks. Have yourselves a great night, and goodbye.
Yep. See you guys.